Nestled between two gentle hills in a valley where the moonlight wove silver threads through the whispering pines, stood the little village of Wyckmoore. Each night as the world grew quiet, children and grown-ups alike would settle into their cozy homes, draw their curtains and breathe in the cool, lavender-scented air. But none of them slept quite as soundly as little Rowan, who lived in a moss-covered cottage at the edge of the forest. You see, Rowan had the most wonderful nighttime friend, Aurelian, a tiny firefly with wings like spun gold and a glow that pulsed like a gentle heartbeat. Every evening as the first stars appeared, Rowan would tiptoe to the windowsill. "Come out, Aurelian," she would whisper. And with a soft hum, Aurelian would emerge from the ivy, his light flickering in greeting. Together they ventured down the narrow path through the woods. The trees arched overhead, their leaves rustling softly as if sharing secret lullabies. Along the way they met their neighbors, the owl named Solace whose wide amber eyes blinked sleepily, the hedgehog brothers Moss and Mottle, curled into tiny thorny balls, and the firefly chorus who danced above the creek in gentle shoals of amber sparks. Tonight, though, Rowan and Aurelian had a special destination, the moonlit clearing. It was a hidden glade where silver birches grew in a perfect circle, and the grass shimmered with dewdrops that caught the moon's glow. Legend said that if you closed your eyes there and listened very closely, you could hear the dreams of all who slept in Wyckmoore. Hand in hand with the firefly's soft light, Rowan made her way until she stepped into the clearing. She sat by the largest birch, its bark smooth and cool beneath her fingertips. Aurelian landed on her shoulder, his glow warm against her cheek. Rowan closed her eyes. At first all she could hear was the breath of the forest, the sighing wind, the distant drip of water, the crackle of fallen leaves under a wandering mouse's paws. Gradually, other sounds drifted in, the gentle snore of Grandmother Willow, the hush of the baker's oven as the last buns cooled, and the faint rhythmic thrum of her own heartbeat. As she listened, her mind grew as calm as the still pond at midnight. Worries melted away, the day's worries about school, the fretting over tomorrow's chores, even the little sting of scraped knees. In their place bloomed a sweet warmth, like the softest blanket tucked around her legs. When she opened her eyes, the clearing seemed to glow even brighter, as though every corner of the forest had gathered here to bid her good night. Aurelian lifted off her shoulder, rising into the canopy. The other fireflies joined him, a constellation of living stars drifting upward until they merged with the sky. Rowan stood and whispered her thanks. She traced a finger along the ridge of the largest birch, promising to return. Then, as the first hint of dawn's hush approached, she made her way home, each step lighter than the last. Back in her bed, tucked beneath soft quilts embroidered with moons and stars, Rowan closed her eyes. She felt the echo of the clearing's calm in her chest, and soon, breathing slowly and deeply, she drifted into dreams as gentle as the firefly's glow. Outside, the world of Wyckmoore stood guard, trees leaning close, the night creatures murmuring their lullabies, until morning's light would come. But for now all was hushed and all was well. That night, as Rowan's breath deepened and her dreams unfurled, she found herself once more in the moonlit clearing, but this time it shimmered with colors she had never seen, pale rose petals drifting on the air and dew that glowed lilac beneath her feet. A gentle music wove through the birch circle, like distant lullabies plucked on silver strings. At the edge of the clearing stood a creature half shadow, half moonlight, a dreamweaver fox, its fur spun of translucent mist with eyes like polished opal. The fox padded forward, and with each step, the grass beneath it sprouted tiny blossoms that chimed softly as they opened. "Welcome back, Rowan," the dreamweaver spoke, its voice like wind through reeds. "Your heart is open tonight. Will you help me carry a dream?" Rowan nodded, astonished but unafraid. The fox led her to a pool at the clearing's center, a pool so still it mirrored the night sky perfectly. "This," the fox whispered, dipping a paw into the water, "is the dream well. From here all the hopes of Wyckmoore flow." The dreamweaver scooped out a handful of starlit water and held it out to Rowan. As she touched it, she felt warmth drift through her fingers and images bloomed before her eyes. The baker stirring dough by dawn's first light, the schoolteacher reading stories to wide-eyed children, Even her own family gathered around the supper table laughing together. "Which dream would you send tonight?" asked the fox. Rowan thought of Miss Flores, the seamstress who struggled to finish her quilts before winter's chill, of Mr. Bramble, the old shepherd whose flock had dwindled with the hot summer, and of her friend Willa, who fretted that she was too small to join in the village games. "I'll send hope," Rowan said, and with the Dreamweaver's guidance she poured the water back into the pool. A ripple spread outward, carrying bright motes of light that danced across the clearing, then shot upward like shooting stars. High above they burst apart, one streak landing gently in Miss Flores's dreams, sewing her warmest quilt yet, another drifting into Mr. Bramble's sleep, where he awoke at sunrise to find lambs play grappling in the meadow, and the third nestling into Willa's heart, filling her with the courage to race without fear. Rowan smiled as the Dreamweaver bowed its head. The clearing glowed softly as if thanking her, and the distant chorus of fireflies resumed their dance. Then, as the first blush of dawn tickled the treetops, the Dreamweaver fox's form faded into mist. With one last look at the silver-petaled glade, Rowan felt herself rising, carried home on a breeze of lavender-scented sleep. She drifted back into her own bed just as the sun stretched golden fingers across her window. For a heartbeat she wondered if it had all been a dream, until she spotted a single rose-tinged petal on her pillow, dew soft and warm. That day, as gentle as the night before, Rowan carried with her a quiet glow, the knowledge that her kindness could weave dreams and that Wyckmoore would always slumber in peace, watched over by hearts brave enough to hope. And when evening came again she knew exactly where to go. The sun dipped low again, painting Wyckmoore in honeyed gold as Rowan slipped back through her window. Clutching the rose-tinged petal, she followed the same mossy path through the whispering pines, her heart beating with quiet anticipation. The evening air smelled of chamomile and wood smoke, and she could almost hear the echo of last night's fox song drifting on the breeze. When she stepped into the moonlit clearing, the silver birches were alight with soft luminescence, each trunk a lantern guiding her forward. But tonight something was different. Along the ring of trees stood tiny lantern bugs, their casings carved like delicate paper cuttings. Stars, moons, and tiny doves. They hovered in a gentle circle, beckoning her to join. Aurelian fluttered down and perched on Rowan's outstretched hand. "You've come again," he murmured in that lullaby hum she loved. "Come, the clearing seeks your company." As Rowan walked center stage among the birches, the lantern bugs rose together, unveiling a low stone dais carpeted in moss. Upon it rested a small music box, its brass exterior etched with dancing fireflies. With trembling fingers she lifted the lid. Inside, a tiny crystal ballerina spun slowly, her silver skirt scattering a soft melody that rippled through the air. At once, the wind stilled and every creature in the hollow hushed to listen. The Dreamweaver fox emerged from the glade's edge, but tonight he was not alone. Behind him padded a snow-leaf fawn, its coat patterned like frost-touched ivy. Its eyes were gentle pools of twilight, and where it placed a hoof, a tiny sprig of night-blooming jasmine unfurled. "Rowan," the fox whispered, "tonight we usher in the Dreamtide Festival. Every century, the forest's dreams converge in one grand weaving, and each child of the hollow is invited to add their own note to the tapestry." The ballerina's music slowed, then stopped. The fox dipped his head toward Rowan. "Lift the music box high, that the melody may mingle with every dreaming heart." Rowan obeyed. As she raised the box, the ballerina clicked softly, and a cascade of silver notes drifted upward, swirling like petals caught in a gentle whirlwind. The lantern bugs pulsed in time, and the Dreamweaver and fawn began a silent dance, weaving between the birches. Rowan felt warmth bloom in her chest. She closed her eyes and hummed along to the tune, soft at first, then stronger, pouring all her hope and joy into the notes. The thrill of dawn's first light, the comfort of her grandmother's stories, the laughter shared with Willa. Each memory unfurled like a ribbon carried up into the night. Above, the stars shimmered in answer as if weaving their light into the melody. The jasmine blossoms glowed, the lantern bugs brightened, and the forest itself seemed to sigh in contentment. When the last note faded, the maiden ballerina bowed. The dreamweaver fox and snowleaf fawn lay their heads together in peaceful reverence. Aurelian's glow fluttered through the trees, rippling like moonlight on water. "Thank you, Rowan," the fox said, his voice almost carried away by the wind. "Your song will drift through every dream tonight, reminding each sleeper of wonder and warmth." Rowan felt her eyelids grow heavy. The clearing's hush wrapped around her like a soft cloak as she made her farewell. The lantern bugs drifted down to light her path home, their carved patterns glowing like little promises. Back in her bed, the music box lay gently on her pillow, its crystal ballerina still and silent. But in Rowan's heart the melody played on. She drifted into sleep knowing that in every dream that night, a piece of her song would shimmer, carrying hope and joy. Aurelian lifted off, scattering a trail of golden sparks that settled like dew on the birch trunks. "Rest now," he whispered. "You've carried dreams far enough for one night." Rowan stood, the echo of her song still thrumming in her chest. The creatures of the clearing stepped back as she retraced her path through the moonlit woods. Soft tendrils of mist curled around her feet, and the hush of the forest felt like a blessing on her journey home. Tucked beneath her quilts, Rowan held the faint glow of the starlight fragment in her palm, now a tiny luminescent petal that pulsed with the echo of her lullaby. As she drifted off, she knew that somewhere above, a new constellation lingered in the summer sky, singing her song to every dreamer who looked up and believed.
Thank you for listening. If you would like to be notified about upcoming releases to the Wyckmoore series, please subscribe.